Formula 1 arrives in Jeddah with clearly some contract issues that need to be resolved. And this is between BMW and Red Bull. Now what's going on? Well, BMW are chasing for a fee from Red Bull for Sebastian Vettel. What BMW are stating is they claim that Sebastian Vettel had signed his contract to become the new team principal at BMW. Then Red Bull came in and offered the race drive for their team. And then Sebastian Vettel jumped ship and went to Red Bull. BMW are stating that this contract had officially been signed and that they were preparing the announcement for Sebastian Vettel to become their new team principal before they've obviously now gone ahead and got Nico Rosberg, but they needed to get a fee now off of Red Bull, basically as compensation for allowing Sebastian Vettel to go and drive for Red Bull. Obviously, Red Bull are claiming that this is false and that Sebastian Vettel did not sign any contracts with BMW. So now, of course, there's going to be a lot of back and forth going on between Red Bull and BMW, and to find out if there was an official signing for the contract. Sebastian Vettel was asked about this and he refused to make any comments on it. So unfortunately, the man that would have known if he put pen to paper doesn't want to inform us if he did such a thing. Taking a look at the race news heading into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and all eyes are on Audi as they have brought forward their major engine upgrade for this weekend. Going back into pre-season, Audi had a special engine ready to go, and unfortunately there was lots of issues with it, with constant failures of key sensors, causing some problems that they needed to fix. Now we were expecting Audi to have to wait even longer to get this engine onto their car. However, it seems to have been sorted a lot quicker than anybody expected, and just in time too, with Saudi Arabia being a power-heavy circuit. This is something that they can use to really help them up the grid, and teams are very aware of what Audi now have as a proper Formula 1 car. Not only that, but it was Renault that also impressed as well. Now again, we saw this also in pre-season testing, that Renault were quick in a straight line, and teams saw that. The thing that people were not really bothered about is the fact that Renault had a lot of unreliability. We saw that in testing, we saw that in Bahrain as well last week with a double DNF for both Ricciardo and Gasly. But going into this weekend, as long as the car stays reliable, they are looking good. So too is McLaren. They're looking fast all round. They were quick in the qualifying simulation runs, and they were also very quick on the race runs. They're expected to be one of the teams to beat heading into this weekend, along with some other names up there. The two teams, though, that were at the front of the field last time around, being Red Bull and Aston Martin, don't seem to be where they want to be going into this weekend. First things first, with Red Bull, they're struggling with setup problems. Now, where they're having their issues mostly is in the high-speed corners of Sector 1. They're just struggling with a mixture of oversteer and understeer and can't quite get the balance right. Whereas for Aston Martin, they're specifically struggling with front downforce. They can't get the front to bite into all of the corners, and that is oversteering the rear end as well, and it's again causing them some problems. So it's something that the two teams need to figure out, otherwise they're going to be in trouble as we get ready for qualifying and the race for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys, it is Foxydude here, welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of the F1 Journey. It is round number 2 for season 12, and it's the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, a track that unpopularly I love in all forms. So as we get on with this video, if you guys end up enjoying it, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. And let's get on with qualifying then. And first things first, what we decide to do is forget that there's a braking zone in towards turn 1 and 2 and go completely off the track there and invalidate our lap time. So it's our first lap completely ruined, and we're going to have to go again. And as you can see, we do just that. We recharge the battery, get everything under control, and open up the DRS and go towards the start-finish line here and set a 124.775, and that will do us quite nicely there as we're going to let the Jaguar breeze on through. Now as we go towards our final lap here, things unfortunately take a turn for the worst. As you can see there with the tyre percentage, I forgot to change to a new set of tyres. So I'm having to do a lap now on a set of tyres that's done one failed lap by going through one corner and then an actual hot lap here. So I'm really not getting an advantage at all. So I'm going to have to give it everything I've got to try and find any form of time, but we're on the back foot here. So first things first, going through turns 1 and 2, we actually get that right compared to what we did on our very, very first lap. But now going through towards this first sector here, this is where it gets tricky, and you can see the back end sliding a little bit as we go towards this section now. And you can see here that it goes a little bit wrong because we bumped the wall there on the inside, and then it just really doesn't come to play there as we get everything wrong going through that first sector. And as well, we were initially up, we're now down on that first, on our overall previous best time. So really not going well for us, and we lose a little bit more time going through that banked corner, so it's really not working out at the moment. Now we go through in towards this part of the lap here, the back end sliding a little bit. We get a nice drive actually on the exit, and while this has been a super scruffy lap, we're not actually improving, so that just shows how poor it's been for us now as we go in towards the next part of the lap here. Another difficult corner, and it just goes wrong for us again. This time around, we actually bumped the wall there, and yeah, we have to go off the track there, and we effectively lose nothing because we're 2/100ths of a second down on our best lap time. And so far, with us being in P15 at the moment, as you can see, going into the last corner, ridiculously late on the brakes there, that's completely killed off what has probably been one of the scruffiest laps you'll ever see, and it's going to be P15 for us. Here we go then, it is time for the F1 Journey Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And before we get into the race itself, let's go and have a look at the grid order going into this race. It's George Russell that's going to be starting from pole position as he set a lap of a 124.170 to take pole position ahead of Reese, who's on the front row with a lap time that was a 10.5 behind George Russell. Sam qualifies in the newly upgraded Audi, 2.5 tenths behind Russell, with Sergio Perez putting in a cracking qualifying to qualify in 4th for Red Bull. Charles Leclerc starts 5th for Porsche ahead of Daniel Ricciardo and Oscar Piastri 6th and 7th, with both of them setting the exact same lap time, but Ricciardo got his in first. Hamilton starts 8th for McLaren with a 3.5 or just under 4 tenths of a second behind George Russell, with Bottas, Russell's teammate, 4 and a bit tenths off in P9. It's a top 10 start for Liam Lawson, who's just under half a second behind the time from George Russell, with Lando Norris in 11th ahead of Kimi Antonelli, who starts 12th for the second race running. Alex Albon is out-qualified by Lawson, and he's 5.5 tenths off of pole, with Max Verstappen down in P14th, just ahead of ourselves in P15 after a wretched qualifying where we also got the wrong tyre compounds on. Carlos Sainz starts 16th, so that's not a good qualifying from him in his upgraded Audi ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn, and Sebastian Vettel also with a shocking qualifying session, comparing it with Sergio Perez, 6/10 of a second slower he was this weekend. He also couldn't get the lap together, and he starts right down in P18 ahead of Oliver Behrman and Pierre Gasly. Lock out the back row of the grid, and it's time for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Okay then, so as you can see, we're on the grid here for the start of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We're starting very far down the order in P15, and we're going to start on the medium compound tyres, and we're trying to make the adjustment to go to the softs, which it actually allows us to do. I'm going to try and avoid the hard tyres, see if I can go long on the mediums, and then swap to the softs and be quick later on in the Grand Prix. So we'll see how that turns out for us, but without further ado, let's get this race underway here. We've got the 4 and now the 5 red lights here, and it is going to eventually go off, and we are underway for the start of this race. A lot of wheel spin there though as we get through the couple of gears, but we're all right now, braking in towards turn 1, going in a little bit late, but not till too late, should I say, to the point where we've drifted right into the back of the Jaguar there of, I believe that's Alex Albon that we've got into, and we've damaged the front wing. We're going to have to see if it's, well, it just gets even worse now, to the point where we've damaged both sides now of the front wing here. First of all, making contact with Albon, contact then with Antonelli, and already then our race is in tatters because we've got a damaged front wing. We've got problems now with understeer in all corners. We're going to have to pit now for another front wing, and we're going to be right down the order here as we go in towards the banked corner. The car literally is not even turning at this point now, as we've got Verstappen here on our outside trying to make his way through here. We're side by side with Max going in towards the next right-hander, but we're not even going to, well, I say we're not going to challenge him. We're not even going to be anywhere near him because we can't turn into the corners anymore now, and we're literally losing places hand over fist here. There goes Carlos Sainz now to go in front of us here. Who's behind us now? That was, I believe, Stoffel Van Dorn that was right behind us as we go now into another high-speed chicane here, where can we get the power down? Well, we can just about turn the car into that corner, but we're really having to work for it here. Going offline now because I'm just trying to get out of the way of these cars here as they're scrapping away now, as we see there. Both the BMWs now trying to make their way through as we go in towards this last corner. Van Dorn passes us, Behrman passes us. Sebastian Vettel here is now trying to pass us. That's not Vettel, sorry, that's Gasly. They're trying to pass us. Vettel's right behind us. Vettel's actually lost places off the line there. He's down the back of the grid, but not for much longer because we're now right at the back of the grid, and as you can see, the front wing's damaged. We've got an absolute shocker, and we now need to box for a new front wing, and we're going on to a set of the medium tyres again. Yes, there's the option that I should have just gone hards to try and get to the end of the race, but ultimately I'm going to bank on sticking on my strategy and just hoping that I've got a lot of pace, because I'm going to have to stop again. But I'm hoping there'll be a reason why this strategy will work out. I'll explain that when we highlight the race start in just a minute. But for now, all we need to do is, well, get our heads down and first of all, hope for a safety car. But let's have a look at the race start then and see what happened and what went wrong. At the front of the grid, things were actually okay. Russell gets off the line quite well. I think Reese has a little bit of problems there off the start-finish line. But what's going on into turn one then? Well, first things first, we actually broke all right. Going into the first corner, we were okay, but then I decided to let the car drift in terms of engine braking, sorry, should I say, into the first corner. As whilst I did that, I didn't manage then the domino effect that would slow them down even further, and I got it completely wrong. And there's the whack there that I gave Albon in the back on board here with Lando Norris, and that's where it went wrong. And then because I damaged my wing, I kind of basically just head lost and went straight into the back of Antonelli later on. This is on board with Sam though, going in towards the first corner here. So he's starting third. He's got Reese alongside him. Reese and Sam battling in towards turns 1 and 2. Reese going to have the outside line here for 2, so it's going to benefit him going in towards this part of the first sector here. But Sam keeps his foot in, gets his braking spot on there around the outside in turn 2. What a move there from Sam, and we're back on board with him now here, down in towards the last corner, because Reese now, well, quite frankly, I've been embarrassed by Sam on that opening lap. He's trying to return the favour and get back at him, and all you can see there is George Russell leading out front. Got a bit of a gap now to work with, but Sam on the start-finish straight here, he can't do much to defend against Reese, who's going to blast past him with the DRS. Not even the engine upgrade that Audi have got is going to work in his favour, but at least in Sam's circumstances, he's fighting at the front of the field rather than fighting for, well, not even the merest of points, or should I say a point, like he was in Bahrain. And as you can see, lap 3, Sam gets that place back. DRS activated, down towards the last corner. I'm on board here there, Daniel Ricciardo now, actually having a stormer of a Grand Prix, up into 5th place now. I think he started 6th, was it? So he's having a storming Grand Prix, as there goes Hamilton now on Sergio Perez. In fact, Perez, I don't know if he's got DRS here or if he's got a problem, because he's getting out-dragged by everybody, and he has got DRS here as Hamilton tries to fight off Piastri. Oscar, though, says, no thank you, I'm having that position. He's up into 6th place now, and next man to challenge Daniel Ricciardo, while Perez loses a couple of places. On board with Sam again, though, as he's got Reese and Charles Leclerc, both Porsche drivers, looking to team up now to attack this Audi driver down in towards the last corner. Can Sam hold off against Reese? He can indeed, yes, but with the DRS now on the start-finish straight here, this is probably going to end in a little bit of problems for the Audi man as they go onto the start-finish straight here. He's harvesting battery or some energy down that start-finish straight, and he loses out to both Reese and Charles Leclerc, and that is unfortunate for him. But one lap later, again, Reese is under attack now from Charles Leclerc here. Of course, Leclerc had an awful Bahrain Grand Prix for his standards compared to Reese. Reese was battling at the front all race long. Leclerc, meanwhile, was struggling a lot down towards the back end of the points in that Grand Prix, but Leclerc then makes a move to get up into 2nd in the Grand Prix. Russell, though, can just happily look after his car, look after the tyres and everything else, while these lot all battle away, as Sam also overtakes Reese there, as my teammate Oscar Piastri now, with no DRS here, is trying to defend against Daniel Ricciardo, and in fairness to him, he actually does a good job of that. Now, going back to the point where I was talking about why I'm on the 2-stop rather than going on to a 1-stop, well, here I am, for starters. But the reason I'm doing it is because, as you can see, everybody's battling quite hard at the moment, and they're doing a little bit of fighting in the final corner and also in the first chicane, as we've got Lewis Hamilton then out of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and I wonder what's happened to him. It doesn't seem to be an engine failure, but it looks to be a mechanical one, and that's his race run and done. There is no more for Lewis Hamilton to do in this race, apart from put his feet up, because that's all he can do. But as I was going back to my point, what I'm banking on is all this battling that's going on. They're going to be going side by side a lot. Yes, they'll be getting DRS, which is going to annoy me, and yes, like this overtake here from Perez, they'll be getting clean ones done, but there's going to be a lot of ones like this now, going in towards turn 1, along with Piastri and Bottas. This type of fighting here is going to lose you time throughout the course of the laps that go by. So the more that everybody fights just in front of me, as Piastri does a nice move there like Sam did on lap 1 on race, then by them doing all this fighting, I'm hoping that I'll generate a lot of time to close back up to everybody because of the scrapping going on. That's my hope anyway. I don't really have much to help with. I mean, Hamilton could have helped by bringing out a safety car, but it didn't come out, so there we go. Lap 7 of the Grand Prix, back on board with the front 3 drivers, or should I say the 2nd, 3rd and 4th place drivers, because George Russell's just having an easy time of it right now, actually, to be fair to him. There goes, I believe, one of the Porsche cars overtaking Sam, while Daniel Ricciardo has a look at Sergio Perez. That doesn't work. Then Piastri has a look at Bottas. That also doesn't work there. So not quite going the way that they all wanted. And now we're on board with Sam here 1 lap later. DRS down this straight, going towards the last corner. It seems that a lot of drivers are going for the moves here in towards this last corner, despite the fact that there is DRS to be activated on the other start-finish straight. But of course, that's just up to them. That's what they're doing, and they're going for it. And do you know what? I'm all for it as they go down the pit straight here. Who's got the DRS between Sam and Leclerc? It's Charles Leclerc. But Reese now has actually got a great run here with the DRS. He's overtaken Charles Leclerc. He's now going to fight Sam here going towards turn 1. Ramped towards turn 2. Sam will have the outside line, which will give him better traction on the exit. And he takes that place, and he's up into 2nd for a very short amount of time. Because as you can see, we're on lap 9, and I'm pretty sure these 3 drivers have overtaken each other probably 15 times now. Reese there did actually make the overtake there on Sam, going towards the last corner, but then he actually locks up there and loses key ground in the fight now between himself and Sam and Charles Leclerc. Leclerc will say thank you very much. I got DRS and you don't, and I'll have that place as Reese then tries to come back at Sam, but it's not going to work. Sam covers him off, and that is a good move done there. As we go further back here, we've got Albon that's fighting against Antonelli. Lawson sitting in behind there, just trying to wait for an opportunity as the 2 Jaguars getting involved with a Mercedes and a Ferrari. Fernando Alonso will be pretty pleased about that with his team, doing a bit of fighting with Mercedes and also with Ferrari, as the 2 BMWs are going side by side now, down in towards the first sector. Behrman there goes on around the outside of Van Dorn, Van Dorn goes around the outside of Behrman, as for Sebastian Vettel, who I said earlier was down in P18 it would be at this point, still there. He's not made any progress in this race, so things aren't going well for me in this race, and things aren't going well for Vettel because, well, we're both last, basically. Sam, though, gets an overtake done on Charles Leclerc with some DRS. He's going to get it on the start-finish straight, though, to come back at Sam. And if Sam is having to recharge his battery, it'll go badly for him. But it doesn't. Lap 11 of the Grand Prix, though, and we are not last in this Grand Prix, ladies and gentlemen. Pierre Gasly is last because these drivers are now pitting for a set of either hards or mediums to get them to the end of the Grand Prix. And as Gasly goes in towards the first corner, he's now in front of me, so that sucks. And there is Carlos Sainz coming out of the pits on hard tyres, and we will breeze past him. And this is kind of reflecting now why I'm not using hard tyres. Yes, congrats, I am right next to everybody once again in this Grand Prix, but it really doesn't make a difference for me as we completely forget that there's a corner there that you have to abide by, because these guys on their fresh tyres are just mugging me off, basically. I'm not quicker than them at this stage of the Grand Prix, so while, yes, I could have gone onto hards, and yes, there is another opportunity for me to not drive through a corner properly, you can tell that we just don't have the pace here. So now the strategy for us is to A, we're going long to get on those soft tyres, but B, we now need to stick in the DRS of everybody that's coming out of the pits to limit the losses that we're making. As for the fight at the front, it's actually gone towards a 4-way fight as we skip a little bit further forwards there, because Charles Leclerc is defending against Sam, which he's not going to be able to achieve as they go down and towards turn 1 here. Sam's got the DRS, well, I say not going to achieve, it's actually going to be a lot closer than I thought it was. Sam, I thought had the move done there, but Charles Leclerc actually doesn't want to give the fight up and actually doesn't give the fight up. Fair play, Charles Leclerc. I was expecting an easy overtake there, but what I was trying to say is that this 3-way fight for the place on the podium has now turned into a four-way fight because Valtteri Bottas now in the second McLaren car has joined the fight, and Sam, unfortunately, is going to be having a little bit of deja vu from his time at McLaren. Of course, Sam was complaining a lot when he was at McLaren that he was constantly fighting every single battle on his own, whilst everybody else had both their drivers up there fighting, and, well, you've got one McLaren leading the race comfortably, you've got two Porsches then fighting against you, and then the other McLaren driver fighting against you. Not quite what he wants, considering the second Audi driver is currently in 15th place, or 14th place, should I say. But he's under attack now from Pierre Gasly in the Renault, because I'm right behind them in this race here. As Gasly now tries to go around the outside here of Charles Leclerc. We're looking in behind here, just kind of admiring the fact that they're fighting quite hard in this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, the two BMWs in the background there are also scrapping away for it, as we now make our way down in towards turn 1 here. Charles Leclerc goes to, Sainz goes towards, or tries to go towards the inside there to overtake Gasly, so we're just going to go around the outside of Carlos Sainz and make that move stick. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't trying to make an overtake, and I didn't really want to, because I felt like I'd be the one losing more time. But ultimately in that situation, when he goes so tight in towards the apex there, I kind of have to make the overtake stick. And yes, you did just see me go for a high-speed chicane without cutting the corner, and I've lost a place now because Carlos Sainz is breezing past me. But we're coming into the pits at the end of this lap. We're going to get the soft compound tyres on and try and do something in this race. To be honest, it's gone completely to pot for me from the first lap. But I've tried this ambitious let's stop again tactic to close the gap on everybody, but let's just say it's not worked. It really hasn't. I thought this would be quite like a smartish idea. It's not turning out to be that way, and yeah, this is kind of where we're at now. We're onto a set of the softs. Obviously, everyone's going to be on older, mediums, and hard tyres, so we are going to have a big tyre offset and also have better compound of tyre on being the softs. So at least we've got fresh sets of soft tyres to use, considering I forgot to put them on for qualifying, so there's an advantage in my favour. No, there really isn't. Right, let's get back to the front then, and let's stop getting downbeat, because here comes Valtteri. Whoa, I was going to say, here comes Valtteri Bottas for a run on Sam, but Sam getting his elbows out there defensively against Bottas, literally shoving or closing the door slam shut on Bottas's face, and then also towards the final corner. But now on the straight here with the DRS, Bottas will come back at Sam as they go towards the first corner here. Down towards turn 1 they go. Sam's using a bit of the battery though to defend this one. It's in towards turn 1. Bottas has the inside line for the chicane, but Sam goes around the outside of Valtteri Bottas, and he's really fending this position hard now. Sam wants to try and get a podium in this Grand Prix, but Bottas with the DRS on this straight once again is not going to allow that to happen. Overtake done, but Bottas will be under pressure though, because of course remember there will be DRS coming the Audi driver's way, but unfortunately he might have used a bit too much of his battery on the last few laps, because Charles Leclerc is going to come breezing through, Reese comes breezing through, and Sam was in second a few laps ago, now down to 5th. That's how difficult this race is proving to be for all these drivers. Meanwhile, for George Russell, you can see him in the foreground there, going for the last corner. I was trying to say that after the pit stops came into play, these 4 cars actually closed up to George Russell. They were around about a second and a bit behind Russell, but with all the battling that they're doing, they're just allowing George Russell to control this Grand Prix. They could genuinely catch George Russell and make it a 5-way fight, but with all the scrapping that they're doing, as Reese now tries to go for a move here on Bottas going towards turn 1. Bottas though uses the outside of turn 2 to keep that position in his favour, as Piastri does the same thing to Perez. It's not allowing them to get in the fight for the lead, so Russell's loving this now. Lap 21 here, and Reese now opening he's not opening up the DRS, sorry, he's watching his rivals open up the DRS. He can't do anything about it though, as they go in towards turn 1. Sam with a double overtake there, I believe it was, on Bottas, on Reese. Bottas then overtakes Reese, and Reese is down to 4th, and all of a sudden we've got no Porsche drivers on the podium. This is Sergio Perez with Oscar Piastri right in front of him, my teammate, and obviously the other Red Bull. Basically, it's the other Red Bull and Aston Martin drivers that are doing the work this week, because me and Vettel put in a shift last time around to get 1st and 2nd, and now it's these guys putting in a shift, while me and Vettel, quite frankly, don't quite understand what the term progress in a race means. As you can see though, Perez gets the move done on Piastri. Oscar should have the DRS on this straight to close back up to Perez. In fact, I don't think he's been given it, no. So they must have been side by side in the detection zone, which is weird. But Ricciardo though is still doing a great job for Renault, because he's right in this fight here with, I was going to say, with Norris, Kimi Antonelli, and also Verstappen. But Verstappen in turn 2 has spun the car round, and he's cost himself a potential point-scoring finish. Not only that, as he created a car park in towards the first corner. It's lap 23 though, so no safety car or VSC is going to come from this, but nobody seems to be able to find a way through in all of this. Verstappen gets going, the two Jaguars and the BMWs get going, Vettel gets going. We're now catching up to the back of this and going, oh, there's actually some cars to fight with, and we don't get past Vettel there, but that's put us into a little bit of a change there, as yeah, Verstappen then throws away some key points for Ferrari as we go back on board with the fight for 2 podium places, and only four drivers, fighting for 2 podium places. Sam still defending hard against Bottas, who opens the DRS on the start-finish straight. That's going to come good for him down this run in towards turn 1. Bottas now is trying to defend against Reese here, who goes towards the outside of turn 1. Bottas, though, will take the outside for turn 2 then, which is a better run to use, as we've seen pretty much all race long. And Bottas gets that one done as Leclerc there tries to be sneaky and go up the inside of Sam, who's having absolutely none of it here as we go on board with ourselves here for the first time properly on lap properly on lap 24 of this Grand Prix, and we're braking super late there to the point we nearly went into the back of Vettel and did what we did on the first lap, but we actually made it stick there. Lovely move on Vettel. Now we've got DRS here on Oliver Behrman down towards turn 1 here, and we're going to force him to go defensive heavy to the inside, and then we're going to swoop round the outside of Behrman and get the job done. And unlike everybody else that's getting the outside of turn 2 to make their moves done, we'll use the inside for turn 2 and just shove them wide, and that's 16th place in our favour. Onto the last lap though of this Grand Prix. There's a lot of fighting going on further back, but for George Russell, he wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix for McLaren. Reese though is going to take 2nd place for Porsche. Charles Leclerc is going to get it for Porsche to make it a double podium for them. It's a photo finish between Sam and also Valtteri Bottas, and who got P4 and 5. Meanwhile, we're still fighting as hard as we possibly can, because why the hell not here? Into the last corner, there's so close to contact there. We're going to go around the outside here of Van Dorn. Back end slides a little bit on exit. Now it's the drive towards the line here. Verstappen there's going to claim probably like P11 or P12. We're going to cross the line though, and well, you'll find out where we finished in just a minute, but at least we got some sort of action towards the end of that Grand Prix. But George Russell is the star of the show. I believe, if I'm right in saying, that is his first race victory for McLaren in his career. So congratulations to George Russell on that one. He started on pole, and quite frankly, he dominated proceedings. No one could touch Russell this weekend. He was excellent in qualifying, he was excellent in the race, whilst everybody behind him was battling hard. He was managing his pace, managing the tyres, managing the gap, and got through unscathed. Reese though finishes in 2nd for Porsche. He actually finished about a 2nd clear of Charles Leclerc in the end. It did turn out that Sam actually did beat Bottas by 2/100ths of a second, so I did say it was a photo finish, and it was. But overall, the 2 Porsche drivers came together to get a double podium. Sam and Bottas will probably be quite annoyed to finish behind each other. Lando Norris finishes in 7th for Ferrari, 6 for Ferrari, 7.5 seconds behind the race winner, with Sergio Perez claiming some points for Red Bull in P7. Daniel Ricciardo with an excellent P8 for Renault, picking up crucial amount of points. Remember, last season, Renault did not score a point in the whole calendar year. So for them to score points here in Jeddah, they'll be elated with that. And obviously with Ricciardo's PU staying in check and not blowing up like it did in Bahrain, it allowed him to score some points and also beat my teammate Oscar Piastri, who finishes in 9th. The only saving grace is that Piastri did get the fast lap of the race. It was a 1:26.903. Funnily enough, he took that fastest lap point away from me because I set it when I came out on my soft tyres. But Oscar took it back. Kimi Antonelli also managed to get himself into the points, once again finishing in P10 for the 2nd race running. So 2 races in a row now that Antonelli has started 12th and finished 10th. It's becoming quite consistent. 8.7 seconds off the race win in the end for Antonelli. Looking at the second half of the table now, it was very close for Alex Albon, but not to be, unfortunately. P11 for him at the end, 26.1 seconds off the race win in the end. To be honest, the race distance, the gap between each driver and the race winner George Russell for this entire bottom half of the table is completely irrelevant because, of course, with Max Verstappen's spin, who, by the way, finished in P12, everybody lost a huge amount of time just being stuck behind Verstappen while he tried to recover his car. So it's not super fair to kind of, compare and judge it. But, it's how it goes. Verstappen finishes in P12, awful race for him. He was fighting close to the points and then spun. We finished in P13. That's kind of a little bit of an overachievement from ourselves. Ultimately, if Verstappen hadn't have spun, we would have finished down in P19. There was no way we were going to finish any higher than that. Our race was ruined basically from the final run in qualifying, where we didn't put a fresh set of tyres on, didn't get the lap right at all, was too busy pushing too hard to gain time when we wouldn't been able to have got it, we would have got it with fresh tyres. And then obviously I made a mistake in turn 1, broke my front wing and ruined my entire race. Liam Lawson finishes in 14th for the other Jaguar car, with Pierre Gasly 15th for Renault ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn and Sebastian Vettel, who also just could not get the weekend going for him. He just struggled, had a bad qualifying and just an awful race. Oliver Behrman was P18 for BMW ahead of Carlos Sainz, who also had a shocker of a Grand Prix in P19, and Lewis Hamilton DNF'd from this Grand Prix, the only driver to DNF. Let's have a look then at the Drivers' Championship and see what's happened after the second round of the season. And we have a new championship leader, and that is my cousin Reese, who is now the championship leader on 33 points. Of course, Reese has started the season with a 3rd place and a 2nd place, so you kind of probably want to make it a win next time around, but we'll see about that. He's on 33 points, though, after the 2 rounds of the season so far. Despite not scoring any points in this race, we're 2nd in the championship on 26.7 points off the race, the championship lead, with George Russell up to 3rd now on 25 points. He also didn't score points in the first round of the season, but this time around, he got maximum points, and it's just a point behind me because I got the fastest lap for my race win. George Russell didn't. 8 points off the championship lead. Lando Norris is 4th for Ferrari with 20 points to his name, with Sebastian Vettel dropping down to 5th on 18 points. So overall, realistically, it's not too bad for myself, Russell and Vettel. We all failed to score points in one of the first 2 races of the season, and we're only 15 points at maximum behind the championship leader. So it's not too bad, but what it does mean is it's nice and close. Charles Leclerc is on 17 points, just a point behind Sebastian Vettel, with Valtteri Bottas on 14 points, ahead of Oscar Piastri, who's on 13 points, and then Sam, who's on 12 points. So all of them looking nice and close, with Lewis Hamilton just about staying in the top 10 of the championship, despite DNFing here this weekend. He is on 8 points. Let's look at the Constructors' Championship and see how things change there. Well, I'll tell you what, the only team that will probably be a little bit annoyed is Audi, because they just couldn't get involved in the ups and the downs. Apart from that, every other team has swapped places this weekend. Starting things off with Porsche, they are now the new championship leaders with 50 points to their name, ahead of Aston Martin on 39 points. We're 11 points behind Porsche, and so too are McLaren, because they are also 11 points behind Porsche on 39 points. Red Bull are on 24 points. They dropped down a couple of places. They were 2nd in the championship after Bahrain. They dropped to 4th in the Constructors. Ferrari also dropped a few places in the Constructors as well. They're down to 5th. They're on 20 points. Audi are on 18 points. They stay exactly where they are. Mercedes dropped down to 7th in the Constructors' Championship with 10 points. Renault are up to 8th in the championship and can finally see some points on the board because they've got 4 points to their name, which means that Adidas Jaguar and BMW have got no points. So Fernando Alonso and Nico Rosberg have some work to do with their teams to see if any of them can get into the points throughout the course of the season. But that is it for the F1 Journey Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Let's go and have a look at the post-race notebook, see what the teams and drivers had to say after this Grand Prix. And finally, taking a look at the post-race notebook after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, it's George Russell that gets his first race victory for McLaren. And Russell says this is going to be the first of many race victories that he hopes to achieve with himself in the Papaya car. George Russell had a faultless weekend, starting from pole position and leading virtually every single lap to convert it into a race win. He said the car felt wonderful and that he hopes to have more fun with this McLaren moving forward. Porsche managed to secure a double podium with Reese in P2 and Charles Leclerc crossing the line in P3, something that Porsche are very, very happy about, despite the fact, of course, remember, the Porsche team are still not running with the front wing specification that they want to be using because they had to abandon it due to failing its front wing flexi test. So there's more to come from this team. Tom has said sorry after one of his worst weekends for a long while to his team after what can, like he described, a horrible weekend. Qualifying down in P15 after an issue with the tyres in qualifying was not a good way to start the weekend, and then it got worse with an incident on lap 1, breaking his front wing and failing to recover from it since. He tried everything he could in the race, but it simply wasn't enough, and was flattered with P13 after some issues late on in the Grand Prix. And Renault are over the moon with Daniel Ricciardo's race after he managed to secure a set of points for the first time in a very long time for Renault. Renault, of course, failed to score points throughout the entirety of last season, so you'd have to go back to the season before that to remember the time when Renault last scored points. And this is a key step moving forwards for them. Renault clearly have got some great straight line speed in that car. They now need to do some more work behind closed doors to get some more downforce on the car so they can be competitive on a wide range of circuits. But that is it for everything here at Jeddah. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well. And we will catch you guys next time for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Take care all.